In this video, I'm going to take a look at how we can use the compute function in SPSS if we need to do a calculation on two variables. So you may want to do this, for example, if you've got weight and height and you need to calculate BMI. Here I've got siblings and spouses and parents and children. So if I wanted to add up the total family that someone had on board the Titanic, I might want to add these two columns up. Now, currently I've got these set to ordinal because I was trying to have them as categories on a table. I think it will still add them up, but if it doesn't work, we'll switch them back to scale. So to do a computation, we would go to Compute Variable under the Transform menu. The target variable is your new variable. So let's give this a name. We'll call this Total Family. And here we've got a very simple expression. We just want the sibling spouses plus the parents and children. You can see that there are a whole lot of things that you can do in here. Most likely you aren't going to need anything super complicated. Usually you need to do something like this for BMI, metabolic equivalence, something where or if you've got an instrument where you've got 10 things that need to be added up to give someone their total score. They're the kinds of things where you might want to do a simple variable, simple computation. So I'll click OK. And what I'm going to do, just so we can look at it next to the other variables, is I'm just going to move this up. And I have a tendency to use capitals, and you can see how my variables are different to all the others. So that looks fine. Let me just... I'm just going to see if there's any missing data here to show you what happens. I'll have to sort. So you can sort your data. We don't have any missing. So you have to be careful in adding things up, because if there is a missing data here, then using that plus, it will fail to add it up because it can't find a valid value. So if you want to add it up, even though one of them is missing, so you're like, even though I don't know how many parents, children you have on board, sibling spouses will do as an estimate. This will just come out as missing. If that's something that you want to do, then you have to use the sum function instead. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone that we can use as an example. So if we added these two columns, we shouldn't get any values at all, because if they got on a boat, except that's a string variable, so that won't be able to add. I don't have a good example in here. So let me clear this variable, and I'm going to make one of them missing just to show you what happens. I should probably remember who I alter before I do it. Mrs. Elizabeth Walton. Let me take a snip of that just to check I don't forget who I've... let's do two of them. I'm going to delete some of their data and then I'll add it back in. So the first two here, I'm going to remove their parents and children, and then we'll watch what happens when I add them up. So I'm going to run the compute variable again. I'm going to move this up so we can look at them side by side. And you can see that because it was missing one of them, it didn't give them a 0, it gave them a missing. So there are cases where you want to add them up even if some of it is missing, because you're looking for like a minimum value or there's something else going on. So you need to be careful how you do that. So you can add them up irrespective, and you just have to use a different command in the compute. So rather than saying plus, what we need to use is we need to tell it to sum them. Maybe I'll need to go to all. Sum. So you can just type that out. Obviously, it's only 3 letters. So let me delete those. I'm going to put in the sum. And then the first one I want to add in is that one. Then I'll just remove the second question mark. And you can do more than 2. You can put another comma and add the next one. So if you've got 10 questions, you can add them all up. And let's call this total family 2. And I'll go to variable view and move this up. And here you can see this time it has included anything that was available, even if part of it was missing. So just choose which one you want if you're adding things up. Obviously, I want this one because this wasn't really missing. You need to do what's ever correct in your particular situation. I'm going to go back and add these in as 0 now before I forget.